Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So we wanted to thank our Patreons.
Yes, indeed.
And so our newest Patreons.
Thank you so much, Miss Deborah.
And Ron.
And Ron. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Deborah and Ron. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon family. So there was a comment about about consciousness and again connecting to certain entities and people having problems connecting to higher entities. And one of the things that came across, like with us recently, Cindy just made the comment when I was talking about a new group that came in that felt very high frequency. Cindy channeled them. They were waiting a while to come through. And they announced themselves to us. That was Cindy's latest channeling. They're going to work with us in the future. And what Cindy said was, well, because you know that there are entities, in Earth, under the sea, and from other planets, it's just the fact that I know, because of experience and tapping into past lives and through meditation, I don't think, wonder, or have faith in or believe. No, I know. And because we know, we're sending off a certain frequency that then enables them to reach us and to reach out. Now, where you're vibrating at, it's basically where your antenna is being tuned into, so to speak. So there's a big difference between low vibrational locations and high vibrational locations, low vibrational foods and high vibrational foods, low vibrational living. In general, what do we watch? What do we allow to penetrate our consciousness and our body every day? And, whether or not we have a good system put into place to take care of the physical body and at the same time to root and ground ourselves to the earth itself, because the earth is going through this ascension process, and we can utilize the earth's energies to help us with the ascension process. And I'll come straight out and say that everything about the system that you have out there is all about stopping, waylaying you, getting you to go off on a path that's going to divert you from the ascension process.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about experiences for a moment, and frequency, and where we are vibrating at, and what things come into our life. And first, it's not really cut and dry. You're not just a high vibrational being, so therefore only good things will happen to you. We've all been born into this earth. We all have traumas. We all have a mixture of different colors, different frequencies that we are vibrating at. And when it comes to universal law, these frequencies are going to come together, and it's automatic. It's not an emotional type of situation. It's not, when they talk about manifestation, it's not about, oh, you visualize a castle on a hill and you're going to get one. No, are you vibrating at that frequency? And it's not an easy thing to really explain, because all kinds of different things happen to people that are good and that are bad. And actually it's a topic that kind of makes me mad sometimes, because yes, I have had some really horrible things happen to me. So what do I think then? Do I think, oh, I must be a horrible person? Well, no, I'm not. But I have had a lot of trauma. I'm sure I've carried past life trauma into this life. So there are frequencies in my energy field that need healing. But at the same time, I'm a channel. I'm able to reach very high frequency beings. And I can go on the low end too and reach the lower ones as well. However, I'm far more guarded in that area. But we all go through it. We all experience these things. And what I think most people want to do is like, I want good things to happen to me. How do I raise my frequency? And it's more than just thinking it into into belief. Yes, thoughts are things, and that's one step. That's one step. It's a very important step, but there's many, many others, and this is what we're going to explain through this video.
Yeah, and again, if you are, it's all about the environment you find yourself in and the environment you want to create. It's all about resonating. It really is. It's resonating. And when we work on people energy-wise, what we do is called entrainment. And Cindy speaks well about that too, because that's really what we're doing. And again, as I'm looking at this picture, you're entraining to your environment. This picture right here says it all. So think about that.
When we work on someone, we go through processes. We do our mantras, we meditate, we bring our vibration up, we do our Qigong. I mean, there's a whole process involved. It's not just working on someone. We put ourselves in a higher vibration. And when it comes to entrainment, the person their vibration is going to entrain to the highest vibration in the room. So we're actually helping that person move up in vibration. And with that comes a lot of healing. With that comes a lot of direction. With that comes someone's light shining very, very brightly so they can see which way do I need to go in this world. So entrainment's very important, and it's something that we can put ourselves in time and time again, but it's a deliberate act when we work on people. But anybody can raise their vibration doing mind, body, breath, depending on what you eat, where you go. But it is a process. It's not something that happens overnight.
Yes, and absolutely, to achieve the highest in your potential for this particular lifetime, if your goal is rising up spiritually to a place where you are like a rock and you're peaceful and steady, you are the best version of you, it's going to be awfully tough to do that in the picture on the right. It's going to be almost impossible because you're swimming in a mess of confusion and electromagnetic frequencies. And you are basically living in an environment with all sorts of dark, lower vibrational frequency entities. Over on the left, quite the opposite. Have you ever, just felt like you got to get away? I got to get out of the city if you live in the city. I got to get out of the city. Got to take a vacation, and whatever it is, you get to take a vacation, 2 vacations, 3 vacations a year. You feel like a different person. Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and one of the things I noticed myself personally, one of the things I did in a corporate field that was my favorite thing to do was actually be a manager of retirement communities. I managed retirement communities, and I specialized in taking retirement communities that were falling apart and revitalizing them. And, again, turning around something that's falling apart. I guess, Cindy said that the guide said that I am a rehabilitation specialist is what they said. And that's what I was doing in the corporate world. But I felt such just gut-wrenching disgust over the corporate world.
But you still could not. What I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but even though you were in the corporate world, you cannot get away from your purpose. Right. You're still doing that in the corporate world.
And I loved it, and I loved interacting with the seniors and sharing the memories with them in what was usually their last weeks and days and, maybe months again. I loved it, and I had a great time making them happy, trying to bring happiness to them, but yet at the same time, the corporate soulless entity that was there that was always pushing profits and stuff, I finally got to the point where I couldn't deal with it anymore and had to leave it, even though I liked what I did overall. It's going to be very hard to hold your frequency in this suburban jungle or urban jungle Whereas you can easily hold a frequency if you get farther out in nature. And the more sensitive you are, the tougher it's going to be. So a lot of us are going to have to ask ourselves, what really are my goals for this life? What really are my goals for this life? And you're not going to really find them until you get some peace and quiet, till you have the ability to go deep within. And, there is something in the yogic circles that when I was first studying yoga, and this is going back 40 plus years, that seemed almost like it didn't make sense to me, was that we have to be at our best as far as health in order to really have the most clarity in our meditations. And I don't want to make anybody that is fighting health challenges, mental health challenges, to feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to overcome, because you can. You really can. I don't think it's really... there's very few instances when it's too late. There really is. We are amazing beings with so much power of creation in us. This is what we are. We are creators in training. This is the training ground. You're here in the middle of, in some ways, a hellish situation to determine, how do I take hell and turn it into heaven? This is part of our purpose.
And I can definitely speak to that a little bit, being someone who has had some really horrible things happen, going through my own, mental health issues. That's what the doctors called it. That's what society called it. There's a lot of labels for people who really, there's nothing wrong with them. They're just different. They are gifted in different ways, and they don't have a certain tolerance for things in this world, and they just don't function as well because they're not made to function in a world that's so chaotic. I forgot that saying. I always forget it, but you don't judge a fish by the way it climbs a tree. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, certainly. That's quite a picture there. When you recognize, and many people are starting to be aware of all the frequencies that they're being exposed to, things even like AM and FM radio, microwave ovens, obviously. Microwaves, when they first came out, they're not going to affect your health. Of course, everything affects your health. There's nothing that doesn't affect our health when at the bottom line of all things. Everything is about a balancing act. It's the interplay of the doshas, if we're talking the Vedic world, or if you're talking ancient Chinese medicine, the 5 elements being in balance and harmony. It's the same thing in our bodies, because we are composed of the elements. And some things can lead towards overdoing, others can lead towards stagnation. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. Here you see this little bit right here. Visible light. Everything else outside of this spectrum is very real. It's just that we can't see it, but we know it's real, right? Yeah, AM, FM, 5G, there you go. X-rays, etc. All the different power sources out there. When you are bathed in all these frequencies that you might not be able to see, and then you wonder, why do I have allergies? Why do I have hyper or hypothyroidism? Why do I have migraines? Why can't I sleep? Because you're in a soup, and the soup is thick and the soup is toxic. So again, when you do get those breaks and you're able to go visit your cousins out in the middle of Nebraska somewhere, or some... just getting away from the toxicity of this modern life and getting back in tune with nature, that can do wonders, and we might feel like a totally different person.
If you're outside, or say if you have flowers somewhere close, or roses or whatever, let's say those roses are not doing very well, you're not going to stand there and tell the rose it's doing a really crummy job. What you're going to do is you're going to look at the soil. What kind of soil is that rose growing in? Do we need to change that up a little bit? And then the rose is going to do what it does naturally on its own.
And this video is going to be much broader than what we're talking about right now, but I just wanted to take one item at a time here. So again, if you're looking at the left, what soil is that? And looking at the right, what soil is this? Now, the soil on the right might look really good, but you know what? It might be genetically modified, and it might have all sorts of horrible additives in it. Again, we resonate at a certain frequency. Our frequency should be going up at this point in time. It should be increasing. If you are experiencing, when you are doing meditation, and when you're doing, if you do, hopefully you do have like a regular form of meditation. And meditation can take so many forms. We could do volumes on that. It could be just as simple as just follow your train of thought without being pulled into it. Just notice what pops up, acknowledge it, and then let it go. You know, one technique there is to, whatever that thought is, like maybe you had an argument with your brother or your sister, and that keeps coming up as you try to quiet and still your mind. You could put your brother and your sister on a little raft and watch them go down the river until they're out of sight, and then just try to keep your mind still and just let what pops up pop up. It's kind of like our dreams too. Keep a dream journal. And if you are constantly dreaming about certain things, there's still things that you got to work through. And this is part of going and starting to do the deeper work. Removing ourselves from those things frequency-wise that can lower us is key. A lot of times when we have clients and stuff, you know, they'll have certain issues they want to address, and immediately Cindy will pick up, well, they're still eating junk food. They might be smoking cigarettes. They might be taking certain MEDSs. She can feel immediately what's going on in people's lives and their frequencies. I get a little bit of the frequency and impression, but not to the detail that Cindy does. But if you are taking in very, very low vibrational food, like for instance, maybe you have moved up to more of a countryside and it's a little bit more peaceful, but you're still primarily eating boxed and canned foods with no life force in them, and that are still laden with chemicals and additives that are all about affecting your DNA in a negative way, and also causing inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the prime driver for disease. And so much of what we have, it's just hilarious. If we ever watch like a fight night on the UFC and all they're doing is, do you have eczema? Yeah. You know, well, put this on your skin. And by the way, studies have shown can cause cancer, can cause this, can cause premature death. It's like, are you crazy? How crazy are people? They're pretty crazy to go along with things that are going to make things worse or might alleviate symptoms but create serious problems. When you really look at it, most of our issues come from inflammation. And so much of the reason why we have so much inflammation is really what we're taking into our body and what we're eating, and also what we're sitting in. Think about a thick pea soup pool, and you're going to be trying to add 1 cup of clear water at a time to the pool and think that pool is going to be fine. Don't worry, I'm adding fresh water, and it's thick, it's sludgy, it's laden with algae. Yeah, that's not going to work. You know, we got to drain the sludge away, and that's going to take time. And the first step is by eliminating processed foods. Just eliminate processed foods. If you eat whole foods, what's a whole food? Well, like apples, you know, again, everything, of course, when we speak this way, we're talking about non-GMO, because genetically modified is the same thing they're trying to do to all of us. They're trying to genetically modify all of us because simply we're going to be restored, if we don't let them, to something that is uncontrollable for them. The human that is not in a Kali Yuga is a magnificent being that can do amazing things, live very, very long, healthy lives, see through lies, read people's energy, communicate telepathically, utilize things like clairvoyance and other abilities that we only may have heard of, but that's just our norm when we're in, say, a golden age and silver age and the upper bronze age.
Mm-hmm. You know, something that really makes me sad and my heart goes out to a lot of mothers and a lot of people who are in situations where they can't go out. Let's say you have to go to a food pantry. You can't go out and just buy non-GMO organic food. It's not that easy. And I've been in those situations too. And sometimes you just have to look at the whole situation as a whole and do your best. Okay, maybe you can't get the best food, but get the best food you can for you and your situation. It's about making better choices. It's about doing a little bit better today than you did yesterday. This takes time. This is baby steps. This is not something that you can just transform in a day. This could take months. This could take years. It takes a long time for people to eliminate bad things out of their lives and out of their diet to bring that frequency up. I think one of the quickest ways, though, is through food. It's through food. It's what you put in your body. So very important. And it's not an easy time that we're living in right now.
No, absolutely. So again, even if you are starting to attempt to get into a good routine with meditation, yoga, Qigong, things like that, it's a complete program that you have to really put yourself into. Knowing what you're taking in, there's also obviously nanotechnology now that is a very big concern, and it's so easy for them to put it in the additives, to put it in all these different labels. Like when you look at what they call conventional only in the Kali Yuga, because again, the way nature intended is the way that Source and the creator of this universe intended us to get our nutrition in these heavier ages. And I word it that way because there's actually no need to really conventionally eat when you're in the higher yuga, because you really are taking energy directly into you from your environment. And there are instances of beings that can do that even through the darkest part of the Kali Yuga. But certainly, look at all the stuff they're adding to our natural, healthy, high vibrational foods in order to make it the opposite. When Cindy channeled the kids from 2055 and they came through, they showed that you had groups of humans that were living in these cell cities. Cell city was a term. We could think of them as smart cities with today's terminology. Now, they appeared to be closed environments. Like the people in the cities, it wasn't like it was a wide open city like today. No, when you were in there, you were in there. It was more like true slavery. And these people live very short lives in the cities, very, very short lives. In fact, what comes to my mind is more like Logan's Run, where people hit 30 and it's all over. There's interesting movies that have really touched on our reality and where they want to take us. Again, if you are chipped, just to speak plainly, and maybe because of the keywords here, we'll be able to get by with speaking plainly, hopefully. It's just a matter of hitting a button, and a person might no longer be here in the 3D because of a hemorrhage or whatever it is that is triggered by the pressing of a button with a person going against the system, so to speak. The reason why all these things are in there is to lower your frequency and lower your life expectancy. High vibrational foods are going to elevate your consciousness, and they're going to help you to see through the mix. So natural foods created naturally, simply. Think of whole foods. Whole foods, like a carrot is a whole food, pepper, an onion, again. And you could put them together in a fabulous salad. Is organic really better for you? Well, yeah, because again, the conventional might look twice as big. It might be perfectly, round or whatever, the shape is. I think this right here tells the whole story, because there's those of us that are not going to let that thing near us at all ever again. Absolutely. They use synthetic growth hormones, which are known to, again, cause cancers. Antibiotics, which is literally anti-life, which, again, is going to strip your whole body of the good, the bad, and in between. And it's, again, going to lead to more inflammation, more disease, more immune deficiency syndromes, which most of the world is suffering from at this point in time. They also they have the livestock. If you are eating meat, and this is a video, I don't want to go into veganism, vegetarianism, because that's not the point. Right now, we're just trying to help people eat healthier and all. So if you are eating, again, eggs and chicken and, cows and pigs, etc., huge difference when they live lives of misery as opposed to live happy lives. And I've noticed this myself firsthand. The frequency of the thing that you're taking into you is going to become you. This is, again, a big thing to understand. It's not that your body's burning it for energy. It is you.
It becomes human. It becomes human. So the quality of the food that you put in your mouth, that is going to become ultimately your spirit as well. And these are things that I wish they would teach us from a much younger age, because they are so very important to how you feel and how you react and how you act, and the next steps that you might take. It's like we all need to just do the absolute best we can in the situation that we are in. I mean, sometimes people have to just really fight and claw their way up from a very, very low point, but they do it. It is about prioritizing. You do have to put those things in alignment. You have to do the work, do the prayers, the mantras, the time. Show yourself love, and show yourself love in the form of putting really good food into your body. And that's how we connect to the higher self. When we're connected to the higher self, we start making better and better decisions, and things come along in our lives that assist us. We activate our guides, and now our guides can hear us, and they start putting things in our lives that are going to help us with that goal of raising up in vibration.
Absolutely. You are the energy you eat, and ultimately it all comes from the sun. But what they are doing is they're adding so many things to it that they know will lower your frequency. It's going to make your body tired fighting it, because, again, if you have a response where you eat something, all of a sudden you feel very, very lethargic, very, very tired, very groggy. It's interacting you in a way that's causing inflammation and causing a drag on the system. The food we eat can either expend chi from your body, chi, prana, ki, life force, or it can add to it. Or it could be neutral, where what you take in is about the same as what your body is going to burn in order to process it. So when we start to look at our food, we should think of it from an energy expenditure, a life force expenditure. Is it something that is going to increase my vitality? Again, we are electromagnetic beings. So when you start to consume high vibrational foods, you can definitely start raising your frequency. You'll feel different, and there's a clarity that comes in, an absolute clarity. But even higher than that is those periods when we can fast. Then you get a clarity that's even, at a higher level. But if you are eating junk food, if you're still actually going to places like McDonald's and Wendy's and even places like of course, KFC, Arby's, Subway, Even places, again, like your second tier, like Olive Gardens of the world, because again, where do they get their food from? It's mostly coming from what's called Cisco, which is a big company that, again, is not really necessarily sending out organic food. No, it's going to be all GMO. Again, it's going to be toxic and laden. Working in the retirement communities, one of the things that hit me was that the average expenditure for food for providing 3 square meals a day when I was doing this, and it was less than 20 years ago that I was running these, it was like $2.56 a person to feed them 3 meals. That's how cheap the food was. $2.56, and we had limits, like we couldn't go over $3 per person per day, even though the corporation was charging for a room, small apartment, 500 square feet, where basically what you're really giving them is shelter and board. And the average rent was probably $2,500 a month. And again, this gives you the idea of the profits in the medical system, the profits that exist in the food industry is too, when it comes to the lower frequency foods. There's a reason why organic costs more. And one of the reasons really is because they don't want you eating it. And you might say, I can't afford to eat organic, but the alternative is not good. You're going to have a much harder time raising your frequencies. And a lot of organic is not really organic. So when you get most food that comes in from out of country can or is irradiated. And why would they do that? Well, they just want to eliminate bacteria and any sort of parasites. But you're eating irradiated food, and it's irradiating you, which is, again, going to cause DNA mutations in your body at a certain level that are not beneficial. Again, it's all part of the system. When we, again, got the information from the kids from 2055, and Cindy was channeling them, the people that were outside of the cities were living in a more tribal way, in harmony with nature. Their life expands were increasing greatly. They were multiplying. So it literally may be that 50 years from now, if you're somebody living in the cities, which again are going to be nothing but slavery, your life expectancy may be less than 30 to 50 years at best. And if you are out in the countryside and you're not part of the system, it might be a couple hundred. This is how different things are going to go. And, that's huge. Not only that, but these people are developing abilities where they can sit down and activate the light body and go anywhere. They could leave the planet. They can't have us being this way. They can't have us being fully activated, multidimensional beings that can at will enter their Merkaba and send their consciousness to a different density or a different planet.
Mm-hmm. I think, right now a lot of people are just naturally looking toward the light. And, if someone just want to be in the 3D and just enjoy material things, that's what they want to do. And there's no judgment on that. But we're just here to try to help people who are looking to move toward the light, help them in a way that's gonna add goodness to their life. And if you're looking at the screen, raise your vibration. There's a lot of things that we can do. You focus on joy and gratitude. I'm always saying, write your gratitude list, because sometimes life gets in the way and we forget. We just forget, or we don't even want to think about it because we might be so angry. And we have to process those angry emotions, but we also have to process through them. And out of them, take a bath with sea salt. A lot of people don't have a bathtub. They don't have a bathtub. They're like, what do I do? You get a bowl and you put some sea salt in the bowl and some water, and you wipe this salt down on your body and you shower off. You let that salt at least touch your skin and then shower it off if you need to. Listen to healing frequencies. A lot of people have access to that. Be present. There's so many different ways to be present. It's there's several different things you can do. And if you go on YouTube and just type in, how do I be present? They're going to come up with a whole plethora of things that will work for you, things that you can do. Working with crystals is very helpful. Journaling, so good. If you're someone and you have like things going through your mind and it's a broken record and it will not stop, please understand these could very well be entities that simply want to be heard. And I encourage people and invite people to get a journal and write down those things that are going around and around and around in your head, because it's almost like it gives them a place to be. Okay, they know I've been heard now. I can be quiet. And just, I've had a lot of luck with that myself, and I've recommended that to other people. It seems to work. Big ones, spend time in nature. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite, because doesn't the earth smell sweet? Like when I walk past the yard and the grass is coming up and the trees are there, it smells sweet, and you can't help but be in a good mood.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, be present, as she was saying, that old saying, be here now. What's my purpose? It's simply to be here now. Again, nuts and seeds are amazing sources of energy. Again, of course, organic, loaded with life force. Sprouts have so much life force because they're just starting to boom, and the electromagnetic charge is so powerful. Again, as we go through this transition period, because we will be going through a transition period, our wants and desires for food is going to change. It's going to totally change. And you won't really want the same things because you won't want to feel laden down. What they do to animals is so negative karmically, where some of these chickens never ever get to fully stretch their wings. And they load them up with so many hormones and steroids that they become so big, sometimes they can't even stand. So they're just lying in their own excrement, and they're miserable. And, there's a huge difference between that and say, a chicken that was running around happy to be alive all the time until somebody, kills them and then consumes them. But they're consuming a frequency of happiness and freedom. And one thing that we do recommend is always praying over your food and asking that it be healthy for you, mind, body, and spirit, but also pray for the spirit of the animal if you are consuming animals. And even if you are consuming vegetables, if you did eat a head of lettuce and you ripped it up from the ground, you did still take a life, so to speak, because the lettuce is conscious too. Everything is conscious. This is one of the things where it's kind of a conundrum, because people might feel good that they're not consuming what they view as a higher consciousness organism, but the reality is consciousness is everywhere, and it's in everything. If you really want to go all the way, then eat what we would call a fruitarian diet, which would be things that are done in a fruiting way. Nut seeds, again, they're not yet life per se, or they're offered, yes, and that's truly this is the higher density way to go, and to not accumulate more karma per se, is to take what is offered. So again, fruit of all sorts, things like tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchinis, again, because they're holding the seeds for more life, but you're not killing the plant and taking it. So studies have been done too, showing fear in plants and emotions in plants, of course, because consciousness has emotion. When you look at eggs, I remember telling Cindy at one point a long time ago, I don't think I could eat eggs anymore. Well, when we switched and we get eggs from primarily the egg box, which is a neighbor that basically puts out their own eggs from their own free range chickens, the yolks look this dark or even darker, where the store-bought ones are less dark, less nutritious, and I can eat eggs because they don't bother me at all. They feel good, actually. This is what's bothering me is the miserable life that these things are having jammed together. And there's even worse than this. There are literally chickens that spend their entire lives in cages, never see the sun at all, and are just miserable. And then you consume that misery. So, it's night and day between animals that are out there and enjoying their lives. Like when a native indigenous person took a deer and then prayed over the spirit of the deer, we would always ask that it be free and be happy and at peace and move on in its journey, because in reality, all these bodies are really simply vehicles. That's what they are. They're not us, they're the vehicle. So we're giving thanks for the use of the vehicle and praying for the soul, which is eternal. Again, try to buy local as much as you can, and know the people. Get to meet the people. Do you resonate with them, or do they feel miserable? We're lucky that where we are, we've met some really great people that feel good, and the food doesn't drag us down. Quite the opposite. It picks us up. So again, depends on where you are. It is all about a chi exchange, because that's what this is. When the soul, which is the life force, is removed from the vehicle, it's dead. If anybody's ever seen a dead body in real life, and I'm sure you've seen animals and stuff, you could tell that it's just a hollow shell. It hits us harder, I think, when we're looking at loved ones. But I do. Again, being what I was, managing retirement communities, I've encountered a lot of dead bodies, and you could see there's shells. There's shells, and that's exactly what's given to us in the Bhagavad Gita, in that famous discourse from Krishna to Arjuna. So, what are the foods that, say, yogis would eat? Well, a typical yogic diet, really, if you are looking at yogis and others that are living a very, very spiritual life, they don't necessarily eat 3 square meals a day and snacks. No, it's kind of traditional to have one meal towards the end, at a certain point in the day, maybe between 3 and 6, something like that. Not saying that you have to. No, everything is baby steps, and that might not be your goal. And again, each person's individual goal is different too, because we have different purposes for different lives, and that's exactly where, again, your Vedic chart can tell you, kind of give you an idea, a good idea. Why did I come here in this life? And if you have those questions without knowing what your Vedic chart's saying, it really is kind of like searching around in the dark for a light, where when you have the chart, it's like you turn the light on and, oh, okay, so that's why this never works, or that's why this always comes easy.
Yeah, or that's why this is, doable, but oh my gosh, I'm miserable getting there. But I also kind of want to take out the idea of high vibrational and low vibrational, because it's all an experience, and the spiritual experience is a very, very important one. And I know that through my own experience, it's really difficult to figure out what you do like if you don't know what you don't like. I mean, you have to go through these times in life that can be very, very miserable. They are not fun. Are they always necessary? I've questioned that. I have a lot of questions. But the point is our spiritual journey is our spiritual journey. And if you're searching for the light, if you're searching for a different way, you're probably not going to find it through the mainstream. You're going to have to go elsewhere, and you're going to have to look at ideas that you might not be brought up with, or ideas that were never ever introduced to you. So it does take a little bit of opening up the mind, body, spirit, and connecting with your higher self, connecting with the good things that are around you. But always keep in mind, if you have had a very difficult time in this life, these difficulties, they turn into blessings. They turn into blessings because you're able to help other people when they decide to go on their path toward the light.
Yeah, absolutely. The more prana can flow freely through your body's channels, the more vibrant, resilient, and conscious you'll be. Absolutely. Disease, discomfort, physical symptoms arise when prana is either blocked or suppressed in the body. So why do they want all this junk food, fast food out there? Because it's not going to add prana. It's going to help to deaden you. It's going to lower your life expectancy. It's going to lower the quality of your life. Again, I would focus on centering your diet around good organic vegetables primarily, and then add other things in from there. You want to have a balanced diet. Seeds and nuts can be very good. Every person is different. You could look at your blood type to get a clue as to also what can jive with you or also cause issues with you. For instance, like if you are the blood type B, for instance, chicken might not be so congruous with you, and so you might find that you really don't need that. Now, if you're type O, you might find that you are craving animal proteins all the time. So again, a vegetarian diet might not jive with you, so to speak. And then again, if you're type A, for oversimplification, you might find that you've always kind of gravitated towards a vegetarian diet, and that's always felt better for you. Again, those are generalities. Each person is individual and a unique individual, but taking in life force is key. So you'll get to the point, and maybe you're already at that point, like when I eat, say, a big salad, or if sometimes I'll get on a craving. And like the last time at the store when we got pomegranates, I bought 20 of them. And the lady was looking at me like, what are you going to do with 20 pomegranates? Well, I'm going to eat them because I eat like one a day anyway, and at least, and now I can't get pomegranates right now, but we're going to get some more. But this is what the body is craving. And when you eat something and you notice that you feel tingly, good, listen to your cells. Your cells will tell you what you need. If you eat something and again you feel lethargic, tired, you want to take a nap, no, that's something that's not agreeing with your body. After you eat, you should feel tingly and energized. Learn to listen to what the cells want, because we can have direct communication with our cells of our body. We should be listening to them. We're all powered by chi energy. We all are. This is, just the reality. So when we go back to our environment and where we started, if we're in an environment that is disruptive to our chi flow, how can we possibly be healthy? You haven't touched on your real potential, and you might not be able to find that real potential. And you might have it that, my life, I thought my goal was to be a doctor in New York, a lawyer in DC, whatever it was. And you might find that your spiritual awakening is not agreeing with that. Then you need to go deep and do meditation and again, maybe get your Vedic chart looked at so you could help get some clarity. But mind, body, breath, and taking time out in nature is absolutely critical, because it's impossible, again, to take a pool that is so toxic and full of algae like the cities are, so to speak, and get it to be crystal clear. How are you going to ever get that to be crystal clear? By just adding 1 cup of fresh water at a time? It's not going to work. You got to remove yourself from the pool. Take time to recharge and get some clarity, and then you can go from there.
And keep in mind, this takes time, and be good to yourself. Be patient with yourself, and treat yourself like you would treat a good friend. Don't forget to give yourself that self-compassion, because so many of us need it. Maybe we've been through situations in our lives where we needed compassion and we didn't get it. Well, this is the time where you can give yourself compassion, and this brings about healing, and healing brings about raising that frequency, and then things around you, simply they start to go a little bit better, as long as you're loving yourself.
Yeah, and again, there's different, when you look to the playlists, this is on EEARTS, there's 51 videos in the Natural Health, Wellness, Fitness playlist. on EEARTS and Evolutionary, there's also energy work Qigong playlist. And so, again, maybe we don't reiterate it so much and say like our backgrounds as we probably should reiterate on a more regular basis. But Cindy is just like an amazing channel. She can channel completely trance channel, and beings come through, and this happens on a regular basis. She doesn't have to be fully in trance, and she could channel. This is what she is. She's an amazing channel. She's an amazing energy worker. She loves to work with sound and frequencies. So I don't know how many tuning forks she owns, but they're all over the house. So yeah, she has a lot of tuning forks, and they're tuned to different resonances, literally. Some are tuned to the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, different frequencies, again, that she'll utilize. And we also definitely utilize various crystals, which, some have been given as gifts. Thank you, Mama Jan, if you're listening out there again. Thank you, so many people that have supported us. And we have so many amazing people in this family that are so gifted. And I think of Jane, I think of Mary Sean, I think of Kristen, I think of KK, and I mean, it goes on and on and on. People that have amazing abilities that we know of right now that we talk to on a regular basis, and they're going to spread that out there. And you might find that, I thought I was going to be a lawyer in DC. No, maybe you're going to actually be some form of energy worker or something like that. And it might not be in a big city at all. Again, each person has their purpose and their path. And so, again, we want to thank you guys for your support as always. Hope you found this interesting and informative.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.